I think we're ready to go. Also, hey, Kira. Ooh. I meant to start earlier, but I took a pretty long nap and didn't really recognize it and know it. Worst part about it was I left the door closed with the fan turned on low and it got hot. So I think what we're going to start off with first is Sportsball. I believe Urinating Tree just got up about 2 hours ago. So I think we're going to do that, and then I'm going to do my tier list. It's, the Dumpster Fire did one the other night. Mine is probably going to be slightly different. And, I will say this, there were some pretty hilarious moments in the season that, personally, I think is probably going to not be forgotten for a while. Alright, hold up, let me just make sure we are ready to go. Wait. Oh wait, wrong hotkey. Good thing I looked over because I kept thinking the plus key was my hotkey, but that's my start stop record button on my recording only overlay. Alright, let's jump right into this.
The culture is actually...
Oh, I'm actually loving that intro. Always outdoes it.
Calling both games.
Folks, it's the time of the year where you write to your friends and family.
Alright.
Thanks to glorious football, you won't be seeing them until February. I wish there was another way to do this, but the NFL demands your undivided attention. As another year of Sportsball commences, I only wish this show can become barely watchable. But that's a pipe dream. The league is actively becoming a mess with increasingly manufactured plot lines and inconsistency, but we won't do anything about it because we're addicted and pathetic. Myself especially. Now let's get on to week 1. Opening night has become a spectacle rivaling the Hunger Games.
Hold up, I actually had to watch highlights of this game because I did not get to catch Bills and Rams. I really wanted to, but I had to cover a high school football game that night.
District 1 in LA gets to flex on us mere peons for being a city of champions.
He's right. He's right.
While celebrating, little did they know that Buffalo is still pissed off about last year. And they need a punching bag.
Let's go back. Let's go back.
The Bills said nothing. Tonight has become a spectacle rivaling the Hunger Games. District 1 in LA gets to flex on us mere peons for being a city of champions. While celebrating, little did they know that Buffalo is still pissed off about...
I'm gonna be honest, that's the first time I've ever seen that one used on interception. The ding, followed by hot pockets. Okay, if you think about it, that does make a lot of sense.
Last year, and they need a punching bag. The Bills said nothing. They merely walked into SoFi blood.
Oh wait, hold up. I need to pop out the chat real quick. Yeah, whenever I do one of my reaction streams, I always have to pop out the chat on, Okay, there we go. We're good.
Legend Matthew Stafford into a pulp, divvied up his carcass to the four corners
This
of the
game made
field
me
and
wonder
left
if
to
Matthew
shrieking
Stafford was
celebrities.
actually healthy or not.
Proceeding to shit all over everything the Rams held dear, Josh Allen took the charge by destroying everything laid in front of him.
I remember
ripping a man's soul out of his body.
Wow,
Rams were
okay,
as dead as the Queen was shortly after the third quarter laid in front of him.
This was the highlight
ripping
of
a man's soul out of his
Josh
body.
Allen had the
Rams were as
nastiest
dead as the
stiff
Queen
arm
was
I'd
shortly
seen
after
from
the
a
third
quarterback.
quarter. Whose house, you say? Judging from the crowd's reaction, it's Buffalo's.
Yes, Tree, you can.
People want to talk about progressivism in America, yet we're still subjected to watching Joe Flacco play QB in the year 2022. Right? Dude has been riding the coattails of one fucking playoff run for the last decade. What did you expect to happen against
Yeah,
Baltimore?
Flacco is
An
pretty
upset?
terrible.
Do you think the Jets aren't injured to hell or something? No, friends. Lamar Jackson is ready to...
The Jets now get to experience what the Ravens did last year. Except this is the Jets, and they cannot have nice things.
Go goddamn ham. Contract extension talks with the Ravens stalled out.
What?
He wants all of...
Okay, I don't understand how you let talks fall.
the guaranteed money. If he keeps playing like this, someone's going to give it to him.
Exactly.
Maybe even the Jets. I don't care if Zach Wilson is still there. Have you seen how teams spit out quarterbacks these days?
Yes,
New York
I
keeps
have,
being
and
limp
it
they'll
is
do anything to
unfortunately
get out
true.
of it. Especially if jobs are on the line.
The Giants could be looking for a quarterback. Wait.
Why would you bother to have hope for New England?
So hold up. So he says if somebody doesn't pay Lamar, then somebody will. Think about it. There's a few teams that's gonna be looking for a quarterback. The Giants will probably be one of them. If Zach Wilson flops this year, I expect a quarterback to be I expect the Jets to be looking for a quarterback. I don't want to put the Texans in that category yet, because I think we need to give Davis Mills another chance because they are in a rebuild. Dark horse pick, but I will not be surprised if the Cowboys are looking for a quarterback because I don't think Dak is the guy to carry you places. Nicholas, I don't want to say you're wrong, but that's a big-time homer pick. And I don't know, and I don't personally have the Bucks winning the NFC. Meaning, if the Rams can get healthy, they'll be back there, but I personally think the Bills are winning the whole thing. But we'll get to that when we get to that.
Do you not realize they're in Miami? You know, their version of
I didn't even watch
Charlie
this game,
Brown
and
has
I
a better
knew it
chance
was
of
gonna be a
kicking the
massacre
football
by
than the
Miami.
Patriots winning in Miami. For New England's offensive
Tua
game plan, they can't
actually
even
looked
run to
good
the ball. They
against
keep
the
tripping
Steelers.
over themselves. Miami's defense looked as potent as it did in 2020.
I was shocked whenever I seen Tua actually looked good. Maybe the acquisition of Tyreek helped.
That's how bad the Patricia Judge domination was.
Matt
They
Patricia
could do
should not be
nothing.
calling offense.
As long as the Dolphins
that guy
bothered
was
to show up,
terrible
they
when
would
he
have
was
won
in
this
Detroit.
game. Fortunately for them, they did. Once again, New England. Nobody's gonna feel bad if you suck this year. The rest of your division is going to feast on your maggot-infested carcass.
Just like the Bills
This week
did
might have
in the
merely
wild
been an
card.
appetizer.
And what was that game like? 47-14 Buffalo? I watched that wild card game. That was a massacre on both sides of the ball.
It's not NFL football without an extremely inconceivable weather phenomenon wreaking havoc. In an effort to get the Bears to agree to a dome, a downpour as relentless as Lori Lightfoot's reign of terror pelted the field.
Yo, who in the chat actually remembers when the Niners and Washington name redacted played in the 2019 season? I think the game, I can't remember, but I think someone in the chat could quote me on this. I think it was at Washington, but I can't remember. It's either at Washington, I think. But anyway, Niners win like 9-0, and at the end of the game, the Niners are all sliding in the mud. I'll show you guys the clip after I get done with this part, after this sports ball, but yeah, there was a high school game I covered where they put the same thing. I really get a big injury this sir. I got no clue. I have no clue. I'm sure I know what you're talking about, and I don't think that's till later on in the vid.
The play. 3+ inches of rain plus new sod featuring two young unproven quarterbacks. What that equals?
This
A
kind of
relentless
weather is
battle
when
of
ground
made.
and pound football.
The Niners cavalry
comes
was
to
stuck
play.
in mud all day, and it neutralized the
Believe
field
me,
of play
I've
for
covered
Chicago.
high school games
Forced
that
to
were in
pass Sanford
miserable
either didn't trust
conditions
Trey
like
Lance, or the
this.
conditions were too fucked to do anything besides throw like shit. This
Pretty
was
much
the chance
all
for
you
the
can
Bears
do
to
is throw
strike.
slants
Thanks
or
to the Niners taking a
checkdowns
shitload
or
of
run
penalties
it.
and lapses in defensive coverage, Chicago wins a game sloppier than the field of play.
Okay, hold up.
Put this on the docket before, besides throw like shit. This was the chance for the Bears to
I'm
strike.
not gonna lie,
Thanks
this
to the
probably
Niners
is the
taking
most
a shitload
wide
of
open
penalties
I've
and
seen a
lapses in
receiver.
defensive coverage, Chicago wins a game
Fields
sloppier than the
looked
field
good
of play.
in this game,
But this on
but
the docket before the game.
how good he's
Nobody
gonna be
knows,
the whole
but now
year,
Bears
I don't
fans
know.
can say Justin Fields is developing because
I mean,
of 3
the
passes.
Bears roster is
Considering their
not
reputation
that
with
great.
QBs,
They are probably the 4th
I'd
best
honestly take
team
it.
in their own division.
The Detroit Lions are a...
Hold up. I did not catch this game, but I did see where Detroit made it very, very interesting. Panthers are worse. Nicholas, I'd have to disagree. I personally think Atlanta's the worst team in that division because Atlanta still can't recover from 28-3 because they had a lead and they pissed it away.
nuisance. They may be lacking things like a franchise QB or a cohesive defense.
He's not wrong. I don't
players,
think
but
Jared
they'll
Goff's
run
the
through
long-time
walls.
solution.
To see Philadelphia beat the shit out of them with their new offensive weapons is no surprise. But once again, the Lions are a pain in the ass. The only way to kill them is to burn the body with a wooden stake in its heart.
He's right. The Lions
And then
are
its
one of
spirit
those
will
teams
merely
that won't
infect
go
another
away.
live host. Detroit may be down by multiple scores in the 4th, but they don't give a shit.
In fact, I
They'll make it a
believe
game.
Philly almost
They're going to
pulled
come out and give Philly an
Atlanta
endless wave of heart
Falcons
attacks
in
because
this.
they can't seemingly stop the Lions' offense. It took a long plotting drive by Philly to kill the last bit of life Detroit had. As I said, complete pain in the fucking ass to play against. We saw this last...
I'm going to be honest, the only reason I'm actually keeping tabs on the Lions this year is because of their 6th round rookie at linebacker, Malcolm Rodriguez. See, I've never seen him play in high school, but he is from my home state. And he did play in-state at Oklahoma State University. I mean, even though he was a 6th round pick, I knew the guy was going to make a roster. He's not the only guy to come out of the freaking Big 12 that's got drafted and made the roster. Trey Norwood out of OU did that, and he made it on the Steelers.
Last year, Philly just learned it firsthand with a ton of battle wounds. They won, but it took a pound of flesh to do it. My condolences to those that face the Lions later on.
My 28-3 family. Yeah, but here's the thing. Atlanta doesn't have a quarterback. Don't give me the whole Marcus Mariota shit either. That guy's not a franchise QB. Desmond Ridder, maybe, but I feel like you gotta tank and go for Bryce Young or CJ Stroud. Panthers have a quarterback. Saints have a quarterback. And I don't know. And here's the thing with Dennis Allen. You have to forget his Raiders tenure because he didn't have a quarterback. He didn't have wide receivers. He didn't have anything when he was with the Raiders. He's got all that plus more, even though he inherited Sean Payton's doings. Oh! Speaking of Saints and Falcons,
Atlanta can finally start fresh. They can begin to recover from the horrific traumas that 28-3 wrought on their franchise. With this match against New Orleans, the Falcons are taking the baby steps needed to move forward. They're playing with conviction. The Saints are breaking like a religious man on Bourbon Street. New Orleans' offense seems lost without Sean Payton. They can't stop Cordero Patterson or Marcus Mariota. The Falcons are rushing their way to a 16-point lead in the second half. Now the old Atlanta would have blown this game, but not this time, goddammit.
It's like he
They
was Christian
blew the
McCaffrey if Christian McCaffrey could stay healthy.
Again? Oh, nope. God, they've relapsed.
Oh, God.
We went over the 12th Mariota. The Falcons are
This
rushing
is-
their way to a
this is
16-point
relatable
lead in the
right here.
second half. Now the old Atlanta would have blown this game, but not this time, goddammit. They
You
blew
sure
the
about
game.
that, Tree?
Fucking choked again? Oh,
Nope.
God,
I
they've
didn't watch
relapsed.
this game and I knew it
We
was
went
bound
over the
to
12
happen.
steps, boys. You looked clean, but
This
for
is
all I
all
know, you were
Atlanta
getting up
knows
to
how
that
to do.
goddamn fetish of yours again.
Which is why they're the fourth
Perhaps I
best
was
team
wrong.
in the division.
If you're
at best.
28-3, you'll have to contract the whole damn franchise. General Sherman had a point. The only way to heal Atlanta is to burn everything to the ground.
Hold out. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong, Nicholas. You're not wrong. I mean, yeah, that's why I say it. That's why I take the Panthers over the Falcons. And if the Panthers can keep pace with the Saints, but that offensive line has got to block more than it did.
Welcome to the Carson Wentz conundrum. It's an
I
absolute
didn't watch
roller
this
coaster.
game, and I heard it was
Not one of those
pretty
fun
bad
ones.
football.
Think those old rickety wooden death traps that are rotting
But
in an
then
abandoned
again,
theme park.
Can you
First,
really
you'll
trust
go up the
Carson
hill.
Wentz
You'll
to
get a
be your
smooth
franchise
ride from Carson
solution?
headed down. Probably a couple of loop-de-loops, a few touchdowns, lead by multiple scores. All good, a nice thriller to get the blood pumping. Then in the middle, you get his chest-forming Carson Wentz.
When he comes out
Back-to-back
on the field.
interceptions
It's not
on
even
terrible
funny.
passes. The coaster itself goes off
And
the
I am-
rails. It's grinding
And I don't
around
know
on
if you
several
guys
different
remember
objects,
Gemini.
flying
He was a
across
guy.
the theme park.
That was
Jacksonville
Diana's
takes the
boyfriend.
lead, and you're about to
The guy's
die.
an Eagles fan,
Shortly
and
thereafter,
I'm
Carson
not
Wentz
even
somehow
sure he
saves the
likes
damn day
Carson
by
Wentz.
Deus Ex Machina. Deep, beautiful spirals
I
to
can't
Terry
remember if
McLaurin.
he was one of the
Guiding
ones
the
that
offense to the
wanted
coaster for
Wentz
another
out
amazing
of
catch by
Philly,
Jahan
but
Dotson.
I know he was not a
Gently
Wentz
come to a stop
fan.
at the entrance of the park, somehow alive with the win. Thank you for riding with Carson Wentz. We'll see you for the same damn heart attack next week, Washington.
And that's probably why I don't see the Commanders making the playoffs. The Commanders don't have a quarterback. Carson Wentz is not a franchise guy. Now, depending on who you ask, he got ruined in Philadelphia. If the team relies on running back to get speaking of Panthers,
The revenge game. It's something the exiled
I'm
and
still
scorned
salty
dream
over
of from the
this
moment they're
game.
cast off. This is
not
Baker
a Panthers
Mayfield's
fan,
time.
but I am a Baker
Chance
fan.
to prove Cleveland
And
wrong.
this goes back to his
It certainly
days
wasn't
at
in the
OU.
first half. It was a baker's dozen of bad throws and unforced errors. Fortunately, the same thing happened with Jacoby Brissett under center for the Browns, so it wasn't too far out of reach. Not with Christian McCaffrey doing his best to bail the Panthers out of certain doom. Even then, things looked bleak. Down 20-7
and
with
they
Matt
almost
Rule doing his
pulled the
best imitation of a
Falcons,
saboteur,
too.
there needed to be a miracle.
But yeah,
And
that
there
offensive
was.
line did not do
Baker
him any
began to flash the
favors.
talent that made him a #1 pick and savior of Cleveland, leading the Panthers on an impressive drive, then skying a deep ball perfectly to Robbie Anderson. With Carolina's defense holding firm, Baker Mayfield and Christian McCaffrey dragged this sad batch to something thought impossible mere minutes ago.
Coming up.
A lead.
Here's where they take the
Only
lead
if the
for
defense
the
could
first
stop
time.
taking penalties and giving up yardage, I'd say a win's assured. The Browns need to kick a 58-yard field goal with a rookie. Trial by fire, kid.
To try to win the game. The kick. Oh,
And I really would have iced the kicker if I was the Panthers.
Wins it for Cleveland.
Revenge is best served with a
The only
dagger
reason I'm
from
salty
Cade
about
York.
this is because the
Baker
Browns
will
do
not
not.
get his
The
comeuppance.
Browns probably deserve to go
Despite
0
playing like absolute
17.
shit for most of the game,
after
Cleveland
the
escapes
Deshaun
from Matt
move.
Rule's basic bitch trap with some sticky tape, a missed call, and a
Like,
steel
I don't
leg.
understand. Like, I
If
still
I were
never
you, Browns,
understood the Deshaun
run.
move.
You stole this
And you-
one and you know it.
See?
And don't forget to send Rule a gift card to Starbucks or something.
He's not wrong.
You know, Indy, you aren't starting Carson Wentz at quarterback.
I just want to say something real quick. This is going to be the first time I've seen highlights of this one. I've only seen the missed field goals, but all I'll say is I've heard very mixed reviews about this one.
Anymore. You can stop playing like shit against teams you should be wholeheartedly crushing. Are you going to do anything to fix the situation that you're in? I know you're pretty awful at big ones, but this is Houston. Been driving a tank for so
Yeah.
long they're already halfway across a rock.
Yeah, Houston's
The defense
still in a
looks iffy.
rebuild
Jonathan
on
Taylor
top
can't
of
get
that.
anything going, and Matt Ryan appears to be cooked. How in God's name is it 20-3 in the
Davis
third
Mills'
quarter?
third-round pick
I'm
as
not all that
well.
hot on Indy, but for fuck's sake, you're above this sort of humiliation.
Matt,
You guys aren't supposed to blow it until December.
I mean,
Indy
Matt
quickly
Ryan
realized
isn't what
this
he
and managed
used
to come
be,
back
but
into
he's
the
not
game.
as bad as
Or is that
Carson
because the Texans
Wentz.
remembered they were undergoing an epic tank? Either way, we have a tie game at 20 with time ticking down. And then nothing. Absolutely nothing. At least until overtime. Houston is forced to bend the knee early. The Colts have possession and are chipping away at field position. And all they need is a Rodrigo Blankenship field goal to win.
And
Good snap, good hole, kick is on its way.
this is the kick that got Rodrigo Blankenship ran out
Of
of
course,
town.
when the time comes to perform in the Clutch Indy manages to prolapse on itself.
I mean, he
Texans
struggled
engaged in outright
bad in
tomfoolery on this
game.
day. Do nothing on offense and the game ends in a tie. In this economy, that's a price that's tough to pay for Indy. Houston, though, this is the equivalent of them winning the Super Bowl. It's been days and I still...
So, I did not catch this game. I believe my dad was watching this game, and, well, it was still going into it was still in overtime when I had switched it over to Packers-Vikings. And I was talking to him on the phone. Yeah, he couldn't quit laughing at both teams' screw-ups. That's why I have them as a 4. Honestly, Nicholas, if we're being honest, if the Panthers don't do anything this year, I think Matt Rule is gone, Baker is gone, and Darnold is gone. My girlfriend's team, she was mentioning. Oh yeah, she's a Colts fan. Look, I think if the Panthers can improve and stay ahead of the Falcons and the Saints, I think they can get the 2 seed, but I don't think they make the playoffs just because I have 3 NFC West teams making it.
Still don't know what the fuck happened with this game. How fucking cursed it was.
Steelers going to Super Bowl,
it has to
am
be
I right?
Has to be. Steelers
If
are
you
gonna
don't know
kill me
you're
by
a
week
tree,
9.
you won't get it. Wait, hold up, what?
Steelers are gonna kill me by week 9.
Oh, I guess he's gonna do a separate video for that one, so we'll have to wait.
Panic time in Arizona. To be fair, I
This
didn't
game
expect
was a
them to win against
beatdown.
Kansas City, even
I don't think I even
Tyreek
tuned
Hill.
into this one.
However, I figured they put up a lot more of a
But the
fight.
Cardinals were missing
They're looking worse than the team giving Kyler that film study clause, getting blown the fuck out in their own stadium.
Thing
Most
is,
of those
I
fans
don't
seem to be
Cardinals
cheering for the
had a lot of
Chiefs.
players
This
like
is
not
deeply
there.
concerning. Cardinals aren't supposed to be imploding until at least week 11.
Your top receiver
With their schedule to start the year, it might get
suspended,
rough and
who else?
quickly. Especially if they keep
Zach
performing like
Ertz is
this.
questionable.
The defense gave no resistance to Patrick Mahomes whatsoever.
Yep, I think
As
Rondale
for
Moore
Kyler,
was
he
out.
performed well in garbage time, but NBA 2K23 just came out. He needs to invest time in his online My Player profile.
I mean, if we're being honest, I think Cliff Kingsbury's out after this year anyway. Even if they make the playoffs, which I do have 3 NFC West teams making it in, even if they make it in and say win a playoff game, I still think you have to get rid of Kingsbury. I don't want to say he's like Matt Nagy just because he knows how to run an offense, but he is not NFL ready.
I've been on the Packers Foundation being
This
shaky
game was
train for months
expected.
now. This week was supposed to be the standard superiority.
Like, I
against the
figured the
Washington
Vikings
franchise in
was about to
Minnesota.
make a
That
standing
would have been the
point
case
against
in
the
the age
Packers.
of Mike Zimmer. Green Bay getting their
Like-
fucking asses kicked in a week 1 is as standard as a sunny day in
Like-
California. You can
Their
count on the Vikings
secondary
to
was
take a
getting
wrecking ball to
torched
whatever
as
optimism
well. Like,
Wisconsin
how is
had.
Justin
I
Jefferson
get
that
the
wide
Packers had a ton of
open?
injuries, but Minnesota just had their way in every single orifice of man. Those holes include the drops the receivers had. Looking right at Christian Watson.
Yo,
on this
okay,
defense.
hold up.
Here's some delicious injuries, but Minnesota just had their way in every single orifice of man.
If he
Those holes
if he
include the drops
catches
the
this, that's a
receivers had.
touchdown all day.
Right at Christian Watson on this
And he
deep
dropped
ball.
it.
Here's some delicious iron.
You wonder why
Devontae
Aaron
Adams
Rodgers
had
is
more
losing
receiving yards
patience
than
with the team.
every Packers receiver combined this week. Oh, Aaron Rodgers is pissed off, all right.
Yeah,
Only
he's
problem is
pissed
that he's
because he
getting
doesn't
pissed
have
at his
any
own damn
receivers
team.
to throw to.
The passive-aggressive throwing of teammates under the bus on the Pat McAfee show will be must-watch this season.
See, this is why I don't... Hold up. That is why I do... Okay, I'm getting to where I dislike Aaron Rodgers more and more every day. Like, don't get me wrong. I can see what Packers fans are going through, but the fact that Aaron Rodgers does the shit that he does, I've gotten to where I cannot stand the guy. Hey, and you know when a guy like Barry McCockiner is starting to turn on Aaron Rodgers, then you know it's going down. Because I think Barry McCockiner was one of the last holdovers on Rodgers. If that tells you anything. Javier, I think I told you that in my last stream.
There are 2 guarantees of the Raiders going to LA to play the Chargers. It turns into a glorified home game for the silver and black, and said Raiders can't win anything in LA.
He's not wrong. It is a glorified home game for the Raiders because the Chargers don't have fans. What the NFL needs to do is make the Chargers go back to San Diego. They don't belong in LA. LA don't want the Chargers.
Against the Bolts. It was methodical for Justin Herbert. He played the part of a neurosurgeon, quietly needling the ball for efficient incisions
Justin
and removing
Herbert
huge
is pretty
chunks
good.
of
I will
tumor
give
from his
him
feet.
that.
Derek Carr tried his damnedest to keep up with the onslaught, so to speak. It didn't work out. Every time he said, you know what, I want to be Justin Herbert, he gave away the ball so fast that every charity would commend it. The game was definitely winnable. The Vegas offense kept gambling and losing it all. This is why I don't trust the Raiders to do anything of note this season.
That's what I'm saying. I'd even
on.
pick the Raiders to
Welcome back
make
to
the
hell.
playoffs. What do you think of Skip? Kira, don't ask me questions you've asked me before. You've asked me that like twice before, and I told you my answer.
The biggest problem I
was the
have with
shocker
Tennessee is
of
that they
week
refuse to finish
one
off their opponents when they get the
was
chance to.
The Giants
It happened a good
actually
bit last
winning the
season.
game.
It happened in the playoffs against Cincinnati, and it happened again at home against the fucking Giants.
I don't even have the Titans.
You know, the
making
team that couldn't do
playoffs.
shit against the Titans' stout
We'll get
defense
to
for
that
most
in
of the
a little
first
bit.
half. Well, it turns out that Saquon Barkley is actually pretty talented when healthy, and it's hard to contain him for long. Don't forget the one pass Daniel Jones makes where you think he could be something long-term for a franchise.
Too.
Those 2 moments made it a game.
Not a Giants fan, but Sterling Shepard's a former OU player. And like Malcolm Rodriguez, he played in my home state as well. Can't remember who he played for in high school though. But it was a team out in the city.
Tennessee would score a touchdown because that's expected of a team with playoff aspirations, but they keep self-destructing. It happens on offense. It happens on special teams with muffed punts. It happens with Daniel Jones reminding us all he's Daniel Jones. Yet the Titans still refuse to keep the foot on the fucking throat. You can stop Saquon anytime you want, but they have options. These ain't the old Giants led by a wooden plank or a worthless hack. These are G-men with cojones. They're not just going to go for it on 4th and 1, they'll do a QB rollout. They're not only going to score a TD on you, they're going for 2.
Okay, this was probably the play of the week.
They're going to finish this game and they're going to get it.
Flip pass
But the
to
Titans
Saquon.
won't lose here. New York can't stop taking penalties at key times. And with this pass to field goal range, this should end it. Or at least it better.
Oh man,
That
was the nail in the coffin if you're Tennessee.
Jesus
You lost to the
Christ,
freaking
Tennessee.
Giants.
You have every opportunity to shit on a pathetic franchise,
Giants
yet all
are
you did was
improved, I'll
fuck
give
around
them
for
that,
60 minutes. Well, guess what,
definite
boys?
upset.
You just found out. Fat Randy gifted the G-Men their first winning record since 2016. New Yorkers...
That's pretty disturbing, if we're being honest. The Giants hadn't been good in... oh, wow, I don't know how long.
...actually have hope. I'd lament such a tragedy, but Tennessee deserved to lose for this performance.
Just like they
And with
deserved
this
to lose the
colossal joke out of
divisional
way,
round
the leader of
last
the AFC
year.
South is currently...
Because Tennessee took a page out of
Houston
Atlanta's
Texans.
book.
Seriously, how the fuck do you lose to the Giants? Every opponent of theirs is supposed to shit gold afterwards.
You blew it, boy. You really blew it.
So I'm gonna be honest, AFC South might be tanked. The AFC South might be tank division this year. That's what he called the NFC East in 2020. That could be what the AFC South is, but I don't know, because you might have at least one team with a winning record. Although the way Indianapolis play, I wouldn't be shocked if every other team in that division has a losing record. No, you did ask me about that, Kira, but it was like about a month ago. Javier, I don't think the Raiders are a playoff team at all, because I don't trust Josh McDaniels to get it done. The guy was not good when he was in Denver. And don't give me the whole, oh, he didn't have a quarterback. He could have probably had Peyton, and he would have screwed it up.
Finally, a game.
I'm just going to say this right now. This might have been one of the ugliest first halves I ever watched.
That isn't absolutely fucking bonkers to recap. Tampa Bay may not have been perfect, but their defense clamped down on Cowboys and forced them to walk the plank for
Tampa's
60
defense
minutes.
looks solid.
The media tells us that Kellen Moore is this offensive genius, yet Dallas is
Kellen
getting
Moore
pissed on
is
consistently.
just getting
Would have been
exposed.
even worse if Micah Parsons wasn't doing his best Kratos impression and defying time and space itself. Words can't do it justice. It was a teabagging of the highest order. Tom Brady says he's retiring at the end of the year, but he will forever.
I will believe that shit when I see it, when they say Brady's retiring. Because we thought he was going to do that last year, and he pulled a fast one.
Own property rent-free in Jerry Boy's mind. The Cowboys are
Off topic, but this is a callback to one. But all I can tell Jerry Boy is eat shit, Jerry Boy.
offense was supposed to be good. Maybe against the garbage of their division. Even then, I doubt that now. Dak Prescott went under the knife to repair his throwing thumb. He might be out for
I
a
have
few
no
months.
optimism for Dallas.
You remember how well it went without him in 2020? It'll be glorious for the rest of the league.
If you don't remember, that was the year Dak got his ankle shredded by the Giants, and they went 6-10. But even if Dak was healthy, do they really make the playoffs that year? I doubt it. That was the year Washington won the division with Alex Smith at quarterback. Even though they had Heineke in the wild card against Tampa.
Uh-oh, folks. Jerry Jones looks pissed off. Maybe one day he'll realize every problem the Cowboys have is his own damn fault.
I don't think they're making the playoffs because
but that would require something called humility.
Belichick disciples
Jeff
never
Russ is
succeed.
returning to the restaurant he built
They
from the
never
ground
do.
up. Freshly extended to secure the Broncos at quarterback.
I
Seattle isn't
did not
very fond of
understand
his
how
presence.
Russ got booed
Because nothing
in
says
Seattle.
quality fan base like booing the shit out of the guy that carried your
That
franchise
was the
to
guy that
relevance
got
for
them
years.
to relevance.
Although for what it's
And
worth,
they
Geno
booed him.
Smith is carrying that torch well. Dude hasn't played this well since he was a
Yes,
goddamn
Pete
Mountaineer.
Carroll should have been the
With
one
sneakily
booing in the
strong defense, it's enough for the
offseason.
Seahawks to dictate play. Literally how? Denver has Nathaniel Hackett calling plays. He of leading Aaron Rodgers to humiliating January losses.
It wasn't
By
funny.
halftime, things aren't scary yet, but we're coming to a special moment of the game. The Broncos are participating in the Get the Ball into the End Zone challenge. Here's try number 1. Now for try number 2. Dale Earnhardt time. Number 3. On the goal line for try 4. They think they have Marshawn Lynch or something? Oh, good news, Denver. You
They
triggered
wish
the
they had
bonus
Marshawn
game.
Lynch.
Give me number 5. Number 6. Fucking number 7. Now we see why the Seahawks passed the ball.
As somebody that's covered high school football, if you run shotgun enough, the other team will stack the box. NFL and college is much less the same thing, which is why I say shotgun is not a sustainable offense. Denver proved that.
Ball on the 1-yard line. Being gluttons for punishment, I have good news for you, Broncos fans. You get to do it again. Yes, a 3rd red zone series. Lucky number 8.
Nope.
9th try. Holy shit, oh no, there's a false start. They gotta do it again. Go back for shot 10.
No.
Jeff Russ cooking up something for number 11. Expert play caller, are you, Nathan? Seattle's doing a damn good job of making you look awful, but my
This
friends,
game
the
did
best
get
is yet
pretty
to
ugly
come.
in the second
Get ready
half.
for the final drive. 4 minutes on the clock on their own 22 and all 3 timeouts at their disposal. Any coach worth his ass can get his team into field goal range with this. Unfortunately, people tend to
This
forget
is
that
where
Nathaniel Hackett
Nathaniel
was a
Hackett
god-awful play
decided
caller in
to be
Jacksonville
an
in
idiot.
2018. He brought out that form here. They burn 1 minute off the clock and gain 8 yards. Brilliant
This
stuff.
is what I say.
All
He had
3
the
timeouts and they're
analytical
still
mind
butchering
of a
clock like it's the
freaking
remains of
toaster.
Secretariat. Think injuries for Seattle to blink first. Trying to save your ass, Nate, but they finally get into Seahawk territory with a minute left. It's 4.
Also worth mentioning, and they only threw a one. They barely threw to any of their receivers. I think the one touchdown was to Jerry Jeudy in the first half. Yeah.
4th down and 5. What do they end up doing? Let the clock go all the way to 20 seconds
so
and then
idiotic
use a
of him.
timeout. This is
You
mind
got
numbing enough,
Russell
but it
Wilson.
gets better.
You got all those receivers.
Denver just sent
And you're going to send Brandon McManus out there. Why? I've only seen Justin Tucker make those.
Never made a kick pass.
And this is a good point right here. That's his history on 62-yard or more field goals.
That's 60 yards in his entire career. You can't make this shit up.
I know you
Denver
can't,
had 2
Tree. I know you
timeouts and
can't.
20 seconds left. It's statistically more likely to gain 5 yards than it is to kick a 60-plus yarder.
Yeah,
Nate,
no kidding.
you have a franchise quarterback the team traded a Hall of Futures and threw hundreds of millions of dollars at.
Yes.
Fucking use him! I'll be remiss to say that he did use those timeouts.
I
when
agree.
Seattle was
You gotta
trying
use
to
them.
need the ball. He's trying to get his opponent to disconnect to the fucking pass screen and Matt. A goddamn 13-year-old could manage that game clock better than Hackett did. Fucking even watching you do the same. Dude near single-handedly cost his team the game. He made Pete Carroll look like a genius in 2022. This was an absolute masterclass of hackery. Nathaniel, you may have lost your first game, but you are the winner of something special.
Told you.
Lolcow of the week.
I told you he was going to be
Being this much
Lolcow
of
of
a
the
fucking
week.
moron with clock management and play calling. We may have something special.
He
on our
deserves
hands.
that honor after
Broncos
this game.
Nation. Let's ride the shortbuster practice. Football is a brutal game.
And I think
May
this is
the
the
bell
part
toll
where
for the
players
fallen.
got on IR.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
We've had already week 1 and we've had quite a few injuries. I forget Tree does this on his Sportsball vids.
Unit lost. Unit lost. Unit lost.
Good lord, how many injuries did we have? A couple season-ending ones on here too.
Unit lost. Unit lost.
Already week 1 and the IR list is probably a mile long.
Thus concludes another week of
Yeah,
this sermon
I
on
do
the
not
feet.
like that they got rid of the Collinsworth slide. That was
wanting to know what happened here this afternoon.
this part was caught pure gold.
A year ago, led to the firing of Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace. They bring in the new regime. There weren't many people that thought
It was still a big upset though. Bears over Niners. Plus Carr and Adam. Yeah, they might be a good duo, but Derek Carr is not a top 10 quarterback, Kira. You gotta get off that bandwagon. Because I don't believe they're going to be a playoff team. And honestly, if the Broncos keep doing what they're doing, it's probably only going to be 1 or 2 teams out of that division that get the playoffs. But here's the thing. The Chiefs were the best team out of the division on week 1. Chargers and Raiders and the Broncos have a lot to work on. I just don't trust Josh McDaniels. Both QBs lost their revenge. Yeah, both of them did lose their revenge game. Baker lost his, which he shouldn't have. Same with Russell Wilson, except Nathaniel Hackett, like I said, thought Brandon McManus could make it. No, Brandon McManus, you're not Justin Tucker at all. We're probably making the playoffs, but no. What's your team again? Wasn't it the Dolphins or the Patriots? I can't remember what your team was. I think it was the Dolphins, wasn't it? Yeah, y'all might make the playoffs, but you guys will probably lose to I know you guys will probably lose the Ravens or Steelers in the wild. Ravens or Bengals in the wild card. I don't even have the Steelers making the playoffs. Wow. That actually leads me into my next part of this, which I will put where I think the teams will go. Like Buffalo, I think it's probably gonna be in a category of their own. Division right now still looks pretty shaky, especially the AFC South, just because of the way the Colts and the Texans played. That game was just no. LA, I think they're going to bounce back, probably win the division, but I think they've probably got the most stability out of that division. I do think they're going to have some answers on the offensive line, because that O-line did not do its job. For right now, I'm going to put Chiefs in division because they probably played the best out of the three teams. Like that, I still don't trust the other three teams yet. Tampa's definite division. NFC North. This might piss off some Packers fans, but I cannot take it with Aaron Rodgers anymore. Right now, I honestly think the Vikings will win the division. It's nothing against the Packers. I love their fan base. But Aaron Rodgers is such a baby. He has to get over himself and start having patience with his receivers. This is why I'm surprised Rodgers didn't get traded. And it's just, like I said, when you got a guy like Barry McCockiner who was a big Aaron Rodgers fan that turned on him, it is not looking good. Kira, I never check my Discord. I mean, if it's nothing personal, you can say it in the chat. I rarely ever check my Discord. AFC South and NFC East, I'm having a hard time putting heads or tails on. I guess NFC East, I'll go with Eagles for now. Actually, who am I kidding? Just give it to Philadelphia now. Because I can't trust that the Giants are going to stay consistent. Dallas is not making the playoffs. Commanders, I think, are going to get rid of Carson Wentz after 1 year just because you can't trust him. I think this is his last shot, and then it's clipboard duty for him. Well, and then no matter what I say on the Giants, no amount of optimism will make them feel better. No, Kira. You know, I've never done that on stream before. Never have. If it were like, well, I'll leave that one alone for now. Dallas. I'm not going to put them in Tank Bowl right now, but if they start losing games and can't recover, then they're going Tank Bowl. Bears. I still don't know how the Bears beat the Niners. I still think they're going to be the worst team in the division. Actually, hold up. I'm going to add a new tier. I can figure out how to do this. Add a row below. Okay. Well, no, I'll leave Dallas there. Titans. Yeah, no, I've seen all I needed to from Tennessee. They're not. That team's probably not making the playoffs. Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence is probably going to be improved this year, but they are probably a year away from contending. Because I think... But thing is, I still don't trust Doug Peterson. After what he pulled his last game in Philadelphia, trying to tank instead of... I don't know. It was a weird situation. So... Browns... I still think this was going to be a fluke win for the Browns. Well, Browns are... Wait, is it this week the Browns have the Jets? Well, yep, they're going to have... Well, yeah, they're going to have another fluke win this week. I still don't think they're a playoff contender. I don't want them to be a playoff contender. I personally think that division's going to be Bengals and Ravens to lose. Although, I said the Steelers could make it interesting, but TJ Watt's out for a few weeks. Ravens, wild card. I'm going to go ahead and still give the division to the Bengals, but I think the Ravens could get in on the wild card. Broncos. I'm going to go ahead and put them in this tier, but if Nathaniel Hackett continues to do what he's doing, I'm going to have to put them in a lower tier. Seahawks, fluke victory. That was their Super Bowl. Same situation as Broncos, but I think Aaron Rodgers is... as little patience as he has, he could be what costs Green Bay the playoffs. I wouldn't be shocked if the Lions steal a game from the Packers like they did last year. Nicholas, I wouldn't be shocked if the Saints make the playoffs. But I also wouldn't be shocked if the Panthers keep pace with the Saints. How can you put Falcons in? I don't know. That's a fourth place team at best. They don't have a quarterback. Mariota's just your bridge solution. Like a Teddy Bridgewater or a Joe Flacco. One of those kind of guys. The only reason he's somewhat serviceable is because of his legs. Which, by the way, speaking of which, let's just go ahead and get those two NFC South teams out of the way. Saints, I still think, are a wild card, but it's going to depend if Jameis can stay healthy and if Michael Thomas can stay healthy. Dolphins are probably a wild card. I have them as a wild card. I picked them like that in the preseason. And Tua actually looked good, but you got to think, the new coach came from Shanahan's system, and the Shanahan coaching tree and the McVay coaching tree are probably two of the best ones in the league, even though I'd take Sean McVay over Kyle Shanahan in a heartbeat. Yes, but is he going to get you to the playoffs? No, he's not. Behind that offensive line, no receivers, and a horrible defense, that's got 3-win team written all over it. Chargers, I'm probably going to put in more time to analyze, but they are on a short leash in my book. They are on a very short leash. Colts, I'm going to go ahead and put in division because he has... Raiders, same boat as Chargers, but I don't trust neither coach. In fact, I actually take Justin Herbert over Derek Carr. Texans, still in a rebuild mode. I'm not going to put the Commanders in Tank Bowl, but just because of Wentz, I do got to put them in this tier. Cardinals. Wild card for now. Hold up a sec. Alright. I don't remember where I was at. Giants. I know the Giants aren't great, but if they can continue to play like they can, they could get a wild card, but I need more time to look at them. Because, I mean, I like what Brian Daboll is doing, but can you trust Daniel Jones to not make mistakes? And I think Daniel Jones is pretty much playing to stay in New York because he got his 5th-year option declined. This regime didn't draft him. They probably want to bring in their own guy. I personally think this is probably the last year for him as a Giant if he underperforms. But if they continue to play like they're capable, they could be a wild card. But the NFC East, Dallas is not winning it. I don't know if I see the Raiders making the playoffs, because I feel like the Raiders are going to lose like a couple games they shouldn't lose, and that's going to be what keeps them from making the playoffs. But the Raiders have never been a stable situation. Niners, I have them on a short leash. I think I will say this. If Trey Lance starts to suck, do not be shocked if they go back to Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that's part of why they kept him. Wouldn't be shocked if Dallas tries to trade for him. Lions, again, they're kind of... I need more time to look at the Lions. They look like they can be a playoff team if... It depends what version of Jared Goff you get. If you get rookie Jared Goff, you're not winning shit. If you get 2018 Jared Goff, you'll make the playoffs to the wild card. But other than that, no. Patriots, no words I could say will describe their misery, especially when they got Matt Patricia calling the offense. Jets are tanking. Steelers. Hold up. I'm sorry, I have to do this out of respect for Urinating Tree. Oh, wait. I have to do that as a tribute to Urinating Tree. I don't know what the Steelers are going to do in the end, but like like your eating tree says, they're going to the Super Bowl. And I will show you an example of that, too. If I can find it.
Oh boy, 53-yarder from Chris Boswell. We either win or we tie. Just like week 18, you have to make the field goal and the Steelers make the playoffs. The kick is up. Oh my God, it went through. It's good.
I love your eating tree's reactions.
The Steelers have won. We have somehow won through 17 billion shades of bullshit, and the Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. I have no idea how. I have no idea why. But the Pittsburgh Steelers have done it. We have somehow done it. We strapped life from death itself at least 15 fucking times. I have no idea how we won. This is probably Mike Tomlin doing some voodoo bullshit on the sidelines, or maybe Big Ben is taking his advantage about a bunch of Cincinnati women, but I don't know. I don't care. I don't want to even pretend what's happening right now. All I know is that this offense fucking sucks, and Matt Canada needs to be fired.
Yeah, Matt
I don't
Canada
know why.
really
We have
needs to
5
be
turnovers,
fired.
and for some reason we have this going to the end of overtime.
I
Yet for
get
whatever
the
reason, the
Steelers
Steelers
have a
somehow
mobile
won. It's
quarterback
another
now,
fluke victory, and I have no idea
but
why it's
Matt
a fluke because our
Canada is
defense
not
played
the
fucking lights
answer
out.
for
But
your
it's because we're
offensive
going to the
coordinator.
Super Bowl. You gotta believe it, motherfuckers. You gotta believe, be here for yourself. And if you're not, then you're just a fucking bitch. Let's go, Steelers, and let's go to the motherfucking Super Bowl.
And that is why I created the And that is why I gave the Steelers their own tier. Yep. Hold up. What else was I gonna look at real quick? Oh yeah, wait. I know what I was gonna show you guys now. Hold up. If I can actually find it real quick. I don't know. I cannot type today. Okay, if I can find it. I think it's on my main channel. If it is, I'm gonna have to scroll way back. Wait. We're getting close. Oh wait, I scrolled too far. Oh, here we go. This is what I was telling you guys about early on in the stream. Week 9, high school football game. I just happened to be covering my alma mater's team. It wasn't even raining during the game. It had been pissing and pouring that whole day.
Is that mine? Hey!
Ironically, about that game, they were trying to... Hold up. Okay, so that guy walking right there, I believe, was that team's defensive coordinator that year. I kid you not. They were trying to get the team's defensive coordinator to take a splash in the mud. I would have paid to see that, but I don't think that was going to happen. Yeah, and then, yeah, in fact, you guys see in the background, all the people wearing ponchos and hoodies and whatnot. Yeah, it was cold. I had my jacket, but I was not wearing a poncho, that was for sure. Yeah, that about sums
pretend what's happening right now.
that up. Oh wait, okay, there we go. I don't keep up with college. Are you a true Bama fan or are you a bandwagon fan? Because I know Alabama's got a lot of those. I do know about the only people that despise Alabama are probably Auburn, and maybe Texas A&M, and LSU, and Arkansas. screw it. Pretty much it's Alabama versus everyone in the SEC. But, well, if you think about it, Nick Saban is kind of like the Bill Belichick of college football. In fact, people actually don't realize this, but Nick Saban is a part of the Belichick coaching tree. He just hasn't been good in the NFL. He's always been a good college coach. He was terrible in the NFL. I know, nobody hates Nick Saban more than Daniel Tosh does. He's a stand-up comedian that's a Dolphins fan, and well, I think that's why he hates Saban, because Saban said he was not going to go coach Alabama, and he did. I actually don't know if any Dolphins fans like Saban. I know Daniel Tosh despises him just because, well, Dolphins fan and Saban went back on his word, if that makes sense in a way. Why do I have so... That's weird, I got dropped frames now. Well, my mom's boyfriend was watching Netflix, so... Yeah, I guess that does make sense. Oh, that makes... Oh, so I'll pretty much put you in that lifelong fan category. But yeah, nobody's watching TV in the other room now, so I guess that's why I have no dropped frames. Let's see, what was I gonna look up next? Ooh, hold up. I'm trying to see if there's another video I want to check out. Actually, I got one more video I want to check out. And this is Brandon Perna's power rankings. And then I want to check out Tom Grossi's vid.
Welcome to my Week 2 NFL Top 10 Power Rankings. Like last week, I will spin the curse wheel at the end of the episode. Even though for the first time ever, it showed that the curse had no power. The Bills debunked the curse. Can Week 2 change that? Well, only Satan knows for sure. Before I hit the top 10, I wanted to mention my bubble team, my overrated team, and my underperforming team. Starting with the Broncos, yes, underperforming, but also the Raiders. Derek Carr has a turnover problem. He's like some weird combo of Daniel Jones and Jameis Winston,
Broncos fan, which
nobody wants to point it out. In his last 11 games, 14 touchdowns, 13 picks, and 11 fumbles. Now, I think just 6 of those fumbles were lost, but that's not great. And nobody wants...
This is actually an interesting stat about Derek Carr if you think about it.
To point it out, in his last 11 games, 14 touchdowns, 13 picks, and 11 fumbles. Now, I think just 6 of those fumbles were lost, but that's not great. And here's what surprised me for the Raiders Week 1. The deadly pass rushing duo of Chandler Jones and Max Crosby never sacked Justin Herbert, just 16.
That's shocking to me, because those are 2 guys that are definitely top 10 at their position. How Arizona couldn't keep Chandler Jones, I have no clue.
Pressures Week 1. Luckily, Raiders fans, you get the Cardinals this week, so I can look like an idiot next week when you win by 30. My number 1.
I'm not going to be shocked if they beat Arizona. I like Kyler, but he's becoming a little bit of a diva, and I only follow the Cardinals because again, Kyler was an OU player, and I kind of followed him when he went to Arizona. Same with Baker when he went to Cleveland and now Carolina. Okay, I've barely been streaming as it is anyway.
One bubble team is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Oh,
After
yeah,
consulting
Bengals
with God
definitely
himself,
underperformed.
I was told if I put a team
really
that
hurt
took
the
an L
Bengals is
week
the
one
fact that
on
their
this
long
list,
snapper
I'd
got
never see
hurt.
my team right
That's why
again.
Evan
But as you can
McPherson
see
couldn't
here,
hit
Jamar
one.
Chase is giving me 2 reasons
Yo, I've seen this trending on Twitter. I could make some memes off of this.
to believe in the Bengals this week. And of the week 1 surprise losers, the Packers, the 49ers, the Titans, and even the Colts, I thought the Bengals...
I don't think the Packers are a surprise loser. I kind of seen that coming, because I always thought Mike Zimmer was the problem.
Bengals showed the
Kevin
most
O'Connell
resiliency
does run a
in a
similar
game where
base
they made
offense to
a
Sean
maddening
McVay.
amount of mistakes. We are all aware that Cincy has the Super Bowl hangover, and I'm
So does
happy
LA.
to see that their fans do as well.
Well, the team...
I'm also not putting the Seattle
Why'd they have to
Seahawks on
show
this
that?
list, even though they won. They are my overrated team of the week.
Not for a while,
Sorry, I didn't have time to
Javier.
make a graphic for that. Pete Carroll said their game plan was to move Russ to his left. That's where he's least accurate. Just
He's
like
right.
Derek Zoolander,
Russ
Russ
has
never
really been
learned to
accurate
turn
on
left.
his left.
I'm not an ambi turner. Can't turn left.
And I applaud
He's
the
not
Seahawks
the
for
only QB
executing
that's
that
been
game
like
plan.
that. I mean,
Russ only threw for
you think
340
about
yards
it,
while his weakness was exploited. Geno Smith was very good for 1 half. Seattle finished with the
if
4th
you think about
fewest
it,
yards on offense
Baker's
week
not
1,
good for
and
the
Geno
left,
only
neither
had
is Drew
31 passing
Brees.
yards in the second half.
No, actually, no, Drew
44
Brees was
total
good,
yards
but
in
he
the
was a
second
he was a
half for the
left-handed
Seattle
QB
offense.
anyway.
Week 1 feels like the only week the 12th man will be on a high for the rest of the
Carr's
season.
kind of questionable, rolling to the left.
Real quick,
Maybe
I have a
there's some-
question. Do I look different?
Hold up. Yeah, I forgot he's sponsored by Manscaped. I don't know about that, Kira. Trae Young's got to improve his defense, and the only reason I followed Trae Young was because, again, a former OU Sooner, so... The Hawks have the coaching. I just don't think they have the defense.
20% off and free in Good Sports for 20. All right, here we are.
Okay.
Number 10, the Buccaneers. I know, this is low. I know. Julio Jones is the hottest wide receiver on the waiver wire this week because it looked like Tom Brady was going to force feed him the ball like Brady forced his way out of New England or like Brady forced Bruce Arians out of Tampa. I'm just underwhelmed, though, with the way the Bucs offense produced week 1 against Micah Parsons.
Yeah, that, yeah, no. I don't know what to think about that one.
Call the Cowboys Micah Parsons now because he's the only guy who shows up to play. And he called Leonard Fournette a pussy on Twitter.
The franchise, so that's what I'm
now,
saying.
I will assess Tampa after they play their Achilles heel this week in the Saints. One thing I know for sure about the Bucs is that as long as their defense stays healthy, it will be one of the best in the NFL. Third fewest yards allowed week 1 and fewest points at 3. Number 9, I've got the Indianapolis Colts. They were a missed kick away from a gritty win. Like the Broncos, you have a new QB in town, and it will take a bit for everything to click. Hell, it took a while for Jonathan Taylor to get going in this game, but your offense moved the ball well. Also, like the Broncos, you couldn't convert a 4th and goal situation, so I expect better moving forward in the red zone. Austin Doolin drops a touchdown pass in this game. I was honestly shocked to see Indy had the most offensive yards on week going in this game, but your offense moved the ball well. Also, like the Broncos, you couldn't convert a 4th and goal situation, so I expect better moving forward in the red zone. Austin Doolin drops a touchdown pass in this game.
How do you drop that? Like, I'm dead serious. How do you drop that?
Honestly shocked to see Indy had the most offensive yards on week 1 with 517. 4 of the top 10 teams in yards week 1 lost. including my Broncos. Number 8, I've got the Dolphins. Now, I don't know what to make of the Dolphins, other than
that actually seems about
and the
right
fact
for
that
Miami.
we know Mike McDaniel has huge testicles.
McDaniels, he's gonna need a wheelbarrow, man, for his nuts to carry around. Man. He got a lot of cocoa on this. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think a lot of time has been spent talking about the Dolphins' offense and Tua and Tyreek. And honestly, they underwhelmed me week 1.
Dolphins are a
I think they will
team,
evolve,
but
just like Matty Ice will and Indy and Russ in Denver. There's some new pieces around. What impressed me, though, was the Dolphins' defense. This is a unit that allowed just 7 points to the Patriots. Tied for second best week 1 with the Vikings. Just 78 rushing yards given up to the Pats. A team you know desperately wanted to run the ball effectively. Melvin Ingram proved to be a sneaky good pickup. And maybe one of the least talked about impact safeties in the league, Javon Holland had a pick in this game. Huge week 1 win against the Patriots as your defense made Mac look like a real McCorkle. Number 7, I've got the Saints. I know defeating the Falcons when they lead in the fourth quarter is an NFL rite of passage. It has become more certain than Brett Favre stealing welfare money from the state of Mississippi. Now, I was genuinely impressed with Michael Thomas.
Well, it depends how the NFC West goes, because the NFC West might have 3 teams. Unless Arizona takes some losses that they're not supposed to. Might not even be Arizona. It could be the 49ers that missed the playoffs. I'm not sure.
Jarvis Landry and a sprinkling of Chris Olave in the second half of this game. This trio really could compete with the Buccaneers as the best in the South, especially when Olave gets NFL acclimated. Jameis Winston was clutch in the fourth quarter and most importantly played like Sean Payton was still coaching him and did not throw a pick. Maybe it really was the LASIK surgery he needed. Now, Jameis was good on first down. Very good. Both of his touchdowns came on first down. His passer rating was 142.6 on first down, and he only took 1 of his 4 sacks on first. My concern is that the Saints' offensive line, who is waiting for Trevor Penning to return from injury and is certainly missing Teron Armstead, now face a nasty Bucs defense that netted 4 sacks in Dallas. I do expect.
Just a real quick refresher. Tom Brady has not beaten the Saints in division yet. He beat them in the divisional round. But what's funny is how he won the division last year and New Orleans still swept him. That was insane.
Expect the Saints D to be better. They were just 1 of 3 to not net a week 1 sack, and they also gave up.
Well, that's what happens when you let Cordero Patterson run. And he was essentially Christian McCaffrey if Christian McCaffrey could stay healthy. Patterson's also pretty underrated in the kick return, which I know when he was with the Bears and the Vikings, he had his moments.
201 rushing yards to the Falcons. Number 6, the Minnesota Vikings. Justin Jefferson averaged 4 yards of separation on his 11 targets, meaning the Packers had absolutely no idea how to cover the best or top 2 wide receiver in the NFL. Kirk Cousins may dress for less, but he played like he was wearing fucking Gucci. Dalvin Cook didn't have his best game, so I see upside for the Vikings offense. But credit what held them back last year, the defense for looking improved. 4 sacks and a pick. Even if Green Bay caught their passes in this game and had a starting tackle on the left side, I think Minnesota still wins. And don't forget, a great way to support my YouTube channel is my coffee company, Benchwarmer.
Yo, who in the chat thinks I should try Benchwarmer Brew? I'm really wanting to try it, and I get my first paycheck next week. Thinking about ordering a bag.
Brew.com. We got mugs, we got coffee, we got Tom's tea bags. Don't forget to check out Tom's power rankings and compare them to mine. I got coffee. It's fucking good. Let's go. Number 5, the Ravens. Look, the Ravens had the 3rd worst rushing attack week 1. Kenyon Drake and Lamar Jackson combined for just 48 yards on 17 carries.
I actually didn't know Kenyon Drake was
That's a really scary stat because You know they're absolutely going to figure that out on the ground. I think that's just credit to the Jets front, and when J.K. Dobbins and or Gus Edwards gets healthy, there's an instant upgrade there. Now the Ravens lost Kyle Fuller and Juwan James to season-ending injuries. James does not surprise me. It's why the Broncos cut him in the middle of a huge contract. Let's hope this isn't a repeat, though, of 2021 for the Ravens and injuries. I think the surprise was seeing Devin Duvernay look like the #1 receiver.
Well, I'm going to be honest, going off topic real quick, I don't know what his problem was in Tampa Bay, but a lot of people say since he's got that LASIK surgery, he's actually been throwing a lot less picks. Well, and here's the thing. I don't think he fit Bruce Arians' offense that well. I mean, Jameis is good. He's got a good arm. He can run. But I just don't think he was a good fit for Bruce Arians.
And not Rashad Bateman. Those two did combine for 3 touchdowns, and Mark Andrews had none, which means Action Jackson showed he can throw to receivers as well. Lamar spread the ball around very effectively, and Ravens fans should be excited about that. #4, I've got the Chargers.
That's too high.
Congratulations, LA. You broke the curse. You held on to a lead, you beat the Raiders, you only gave up 64 rushing yards, and you let your kicker kick a field goal. It's like you exercised 4 demons in one game.
Staley can get over
I'll
that
admit, I probably put you too high on this list right now. And your 0 fourth quarter points means you tried to blow a lead. But just like I cannot deny that Mahomes is great, Justin Herbert looks like the next Aaron Rodgers in terms of arm talent.
But the difference is he's a lot more mobile, too. I've seen some of Justin Herbert's running highlights. His running is very underrated. Kind of reminds me of Josh Allen, but he's not quite on Josh Allen's tier yet.
Unless the Chargers can shake the Chargers are gonna Chargers narrative, Herbert may more aptly be compared to Matthew Stafford with the Lions. Mack and Bosa, though, on the edge are going to be a problem, and I think Austin Eckler will be better this week on Thursday night. #3, I've got the Philadelphia Eagles. Last week, I put Philly at #7. I had the balls to go where no one else would go, Philly, so come give me some credit for showing your team respect. And I am pleased to reveal that 7 was too low. Jalen Hurts looks like a more complete quarterback.
I mean, Gemini thinks he's okay,
an elite receiver and A.J. Brown to throw to. 155 yards for Brown in his debut. The only person in Philly not excited about that is probably Devontae Smith, who had 0 catches. Now, Hurts does need to be more efficient in the passing game. Just 18 completions on 32 attempts. If Hurts can be more of a 22, 23 for 30 type passer with very few picks, this team will be hard to beat. They were one of 4 teams, though, with over 200 rushing yards week 1, and Miles Sanders was finally the guy. They had 4 different players score rushing touchdowns in this game. They are the team that Pete Carroll has wet dreams about.
Well, if they can...
That said, Philly, your run D needs to be better. You gave up 181 to the Lions and 3 rushing touchdowns, as well as losing Derek Barnett to injury, which is a concern moving forward. #2, the Chiefs. Patty Mahomes had 156.1 passer rating when pressured against the Cardinals. Vance Joseph blitzed the hell out of him.
As for the Saints, I think they probably split with the Bucs. They probably sweep the Falcons, and they probably split with the Panthers. I could see tiebreakers coming in that division.
Mahomes, and Mahomes made him pay every single time. It's nice to see that Vance is evolving as a coach. Mahomes was blitzed by Vance more than any DC has ever done. 54% of his dropbacks. And he threw 4 touchdowns against the blitz, and you kept fucking doing it, Vance. I respect your commitment to a losing philosophy, though. I do expect the Chargers to be better and able to pressure Mahomes with Bosa and Mack in a 4-man rush type situation. Right now, it feels like we are on track, though, for a Bills-Chiefs championship game.
I don't know if you guys split with the Panthers and Falcons. I think you guys split with the Saints, but sweep the rest.
unless something goes horrifically
Buffalo
wrong for
Bills
one of
type
those teams.
situation in
And
the
number
AFC
one,
East.
still on top,
Speaking
the
of
Bills.
Buffalo,
I had the Bills at number one last week, and they
told you.
handled the Rams despite being
It's
cursed.
gonna be the same on Tom
They did turn
Brossie's
over the
power
ball
rankings
a
as
bunch of
well.
times in that game. James Cook, of course, fumbled on his first carry, something we saw both Kareem Hunt and Emmitt Smith do, and those two guys had identical careers. Here are my 3 takeaways from the Bills' Week 1 game. Josh Allen played one of his most efficient games, maybe his most grown-up QB performance to date. He never forced the ball. He took what the defense gave him and still threw 3 touchdowns. Second takeaway, Stephon Diggs is unguardable. And finally, the Bills' defense looked like the best in the league Week 1. 7 sacks. Or as I call it, Von Biller trickle-down economics. Everyone get a bill. And they gave up the second fewest total yards Week 1. And that's against the Sean McVay offense that had never lost its opening game. Just 52 rushing yards allowed by that Bills D, the best mark in the league. So things look promising in Buffalo. And here we go. Let's see who will be cursed this time. I think I spun it the wrong way, but what are we gonna fucking do? Oh, number 7! Who did I put at 7? Number 7, oh shit, it's the Saints. And this is a good litmus test for the curse. We will see if the curse is real again, because the Buccaneers, Brady has not beat them in the regular season since joining Tampa Bay. I feel like this means Jameis is gonna have some turnovers. Oh god, I'm sorry, New Orleans Saints fans. I think the Buccaneers defense is gonna feast, and I think Tom Brady's gonna play well against you based on the curse. Thanks for watching That's Good Sports here on YouTube. Please subscribe and check out my If the NFL Were a Comedy video. It's a recap of Week 1. It's a different format I'm trying out, and I need it to do well to keep doing it because I like it.
I'm not a fan of these wireless headphones, honestly. Not bad, but could be better. Okay, I want to look at Tom Grossi's rankings real quick.
Oh, now I remember why I finished so poor.
That's... Wait, hold up. That was... That was his NFL Week 2 predictions. I'm actually going to do a separate vid on my NFL predictions, so definitely keep your notifications on for that. Okay, here we go.
Chaos and his... Welcome to the NFL, where everything is chaos and is on fire.
I want to see what Grossi's power rankings are like.
Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to another episode of Packcast, the podcast where you don't have to be Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom. Yeah, week 2, and I'm already at a loss for who's on these power rankings. Grassi, and today...
He is a Packers fan, but he's not biased. Just like how Brandon Pern is a Broncos fan.
We are going to be ranking the top 10 teams heading into week 2, and considering what occurred in week 1, this is already an arduous task. You had major upsets. You had the Seahawks being the only winning team in the NFC West by knocking off the Broncos. You had the Steelers knocking off the reigning defending AFC champion Bengals. You had the Giants beating the Titans. You had the Packers losing week 1. Okay, well, that's kind of become a tradition. But the point stands that things be crazy right now. And so I'm just going to kind of take a swing at it, and let's see what happens. Starting off with number 10, because I kind of just have to give props here, and I hate this team from the bottom of my soul because of the Hail Mary.
Probably.
Of course, the NFC Championship game in which we do not speak of, which was my personal Vietnam. You got the Seattle Seahawks.
Wait, really?
And again, I could have put the Packers here. I could have put another losing team that, you know, played valiantly. I could have put the Dolphins, but no, I'm going to put the Seahawks because absolutely nobody gave them a shot, including myself, and they proved everybody wrong. The Seattle Seahawks, now the number 1 team in the NFC West, won by a single point. And a lot of it has to do with not only the Broncos shooting themselves in the foot, which they did often, and Russell Wilson proves that he still can't score from the 1-yard line, but more importantly, Geno Smith, who played a phenomenal game, didn't throw his first incompletion until about 5 minutes left in the second quarter. Geno Smith played a damn good game. How good? Well, the crowd was chanting MVP at him during the game. Are they being facetious? Maybe.
That's even more disturbing.
Be a little bit. They also were booing Russell Wilson, which is one of the reasons why your team was relevant. And again, you did have the Legion of Boom. But let's not get into semantics here. Now, along with Geno Smith, you also had Penny, who had 60 yards, and that was going to kind of be the big focal point here. You had a QB battle between Drew Lock and Geno Smith, but you had a solid running game, whether it was through the draft or you had guys like Rashad Penny. I know Chris Carson did have to retire early, unfortunately, but it was still thought that they were going to have a better O-line, which they did because Geno Smith had great pockets all Monday night, but more importantly, they also had lanes to run. Now, you didn't have like breakout games by DK Metcalf or Tyler Lockett, but Geno Smith was able to spread the ball around and they were able to be successful. On top of that, the defense made some crucial stops. They made 2 really big turnovers in the red zone, forcing a Melvin Gordon fumble and then a Javonte Williams fumble. And just like that, the Seattle Seahawks were able to pull off the upset. I will also say that the Broncos, they didn't do themselves any favors. Whether it was turnovers, it was a ton of penalties. Nathaniel Hackett's weird timeout, lack of calling, then deciding to call them just to be kind of a douche at the end of the game. And then, of course, the decision to kick a 64-yard field goal instead of going for it on 4th and 5. But either way, I think the Seahawks deserve some credit here. Only ones to win in the division. Knocked off a quality opponent who many people think are going to be a playoff team in the Broncos. And this might be the only time they make the list. So, number 10, Seahawks, this is your due. Number 9, you got the reigning defending AFC champions. You got the Cincinnati Bengals. So let's get this out of the way. The Cincinnati Bengals lost. Joe Burrow got the absolute crap beaten out of him, got sacked a lot, was constantly under pressure, had 5 turnovers on the day, 4 interceptions, 1 fumble, and all of that happened, and the Bengals still threw away the game. If it wasn't for terrible clock management or 1 less turnover, the Bengals would have won. Joe Burrow just kind of went into screw it, Jamar Chase is down there mode and just started launching it. He finished the day 338 yards, 2 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1 fumble, also had 47 rushing yards. Joe Mixon had 82 rushing yards, also caught 7 receptions for 63 yards. But Jamar Chase, 10 receptions, 129 yards, and he obviously was that go-to. Now, T. Higgins also got injured, out for a concussion, and the Bengals were in this. I mean, we've seen this before where he's gotten thrashed around and still has won, looking at you Tennessee Titans. And again, I'm not going to pretend that the Steelers are this godly opponent, but the Steelers do have a very good defense. Their offense is anemic and leaves a lot to be desired. And there's good news for the Steelers because it looks like TJ Watt and Najee Harris are going to return earlier than expected. But for the Bengals, it's a divisional matchup. It's always going to be difficult. You're facing arguably a top 5 defense, or expected to be a top 5 defense in the league. And so I'm going to give the Bengals a little bit of a break here, considering how close they were to actually winning this game, even with all of their mistakes. Number 8, you got the New Orleans Saints. Almost lost to the Falcons, but then Falcons gonna Falcons. Wound up winning by a single point, mostly because of Jameis Winston, who in the fourth quarter absolutely went off. They had 17 points scored in the fourth quarter after their offense really couldn't do anything, mostly because of a decrepit offensive line that looked awful. They really didn't get the run game going. But the thing that I loved about the Saints here is the fact that they got Jarvis Landry involved. He was a major factor here. Michael Thomas, he scored 2 touchdowns, indicating that he is back. And Chris Olave had that big 2-point conversion as well. So they have a lot of receiving threats. Alvin Kamara wasn't entirely successful or productive in this game, but I think that'll come with time. The big concerns I have with them are the offensive line. Also, the run defense. They let up a lot of rushing yards to Cordarrelle Patterson, so that's something to keep an eye on. But the Falcons always play the Saints very, very tough. And while the Falcons did choke it away, a big part of it is going to be due to the efforts of Jameis Winston, and because of that, they deserve to be on this list. Number 7, you got the Philadelphia Eagles pulling off a tough game in Detroit, 38-35 against a Lions team in which Ford Field was rocking. The team was pumped up. Hard Knocks most definitely helped, and they were looking for kneecaps. The defense, let's get the bad out of the way. The defense, especially the rush defense, struggled against guys like Swift, who had over 100 yards. But other than that, they played pretty darn good. Jalen Hurts definitely could be better with the accuracy. Wasn't so great throwing the football, 18 for 32 for 243 yards. But on the ground, rushed 17 times, 90 yards, 1 touchdown. He was electric back there. In total, the Eagles had 216 rushing yards and 4 touchdowns. And A.J. Brown, 10 receptions for 155 yards, showing, it was worth the first-round pick here. The Eagles were able to close out this game, and this is what's going to make them dangerous. If Jalen Hurts can hone in on his accuracy, become a better passer, they're going to be a really good team this year. They were able to run the ball effectively, which they really started to do at the back half of the year last season, and it was really, really successful. Now they're doing it right out of the gate. The Eagles, I think, are going to be a problem. Right now, I think they're favorites to win the East, considering that the Cowboys lost Dak Prescott for 6 to 8 weeks. And the Eagles, tough game, but they flew. Number 6, you got the LA Chargers. Chargers, congratulations, guys.
Yeah, congrats.
You didn't charger it up.
San Diego
you almost
already,
blew the
Chargers.
lead, but you didn't. Almost because of Devontae Adams, who absolutely smoked your secondary. But we're not going to talk about that. Instead, you guys won. Justin Herbert, 26 for 34, 279 yards, 3 tutties. Didn't really have a run game, and a lot of that I think is going to be attributed to the fact the Raiders had a pretty good defense, or at least in terms of run defense. They were able to move the ball around on offense, and more importantly, the defense, which really made the Chargers get into these shootouts last year, forced 3 turnovers, made Derek Carr's life pretty damn miserable on Sunday, and the Chargers looked pretty solid. I think you definitely want to clean some things up here. They could get a lot better, but right now, going against a divisional rival, they got the win on the board. They have a big Thursday night game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and if they're able to knock them off, I think maybe we'll look at the Chargers in a little bit of a different light.
Are you sure about that?
Number 5, you got the Baltimore return. They could get a lot better, but right now, going against a divisional rival, they got the win on the board. They have a big Thursday night game against the Kansas City Chiefs, and if they're able to knock them off, I think maybe we'll look at the Chargers in a little bit of a different light.
Are you sure about that?
Number 5, you got the Baltimore Ravens going into New Jersey and winning 24-9, a game that they were expected to win. The Jets did show up on defense 100%, but they also had Joe Flacco on the offensive side of the ball, so that was always going to be rough. Lamar Jackson, 17 for 30, had 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Definitely a slow start for the Ravens. Their defense obviously was pretty darn good in keeping the Jets at bay. But one of the things they definitely need is their running backs. Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins still out. They rolled with Kenyon Drake, and the running backs really just didn't do a whole lot. But I will say that Lamar Jackson had some amazing throws. This guy is playing for a mega contract, turning down a big deal with the Baltimore Ravens. They were able to go into Jersey in a hostile environment and get it done. And so as the Ravens get healthier throughout the season, I think they'll climb up this list. Number 4, you got the purple incarnation of Satan. The voodoo didn't work.
He's called them that
the Minnesota Vikings, beating the Green Bay Packers 23-7. Let's talk about the good that the Vikings did. Zadarius Smith added a much-needed pass rush to that Vikings defense because that defense last year was not great. They were really able to get after Aaron Rodgers, who definitely had some pieces missing from that offensive line, so that helped. The O-line for the Vikings definitely held. The Packers really couldn't get home against Kirk Cousins, who had a very productive day, 23 for 32, had over 270 yards and 2 touchdowns. Dalvin Cook, 90 yards on the ground. But of course, the star of the show is Justin Jefferson. 9 catches, 184 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The Packers just had no answers for them. The Packers really struggled to get any kind of offense going. Rodgers was constantly under duress, and while you did have opportunities there, the Vikings were able to seize on all the mistakes that the Packers made, and they were able to put together a really solid game. Now, it's not unusual for the Vikings and Packers to split here, but the Vikings definitely looked impressive. Kevin O'Connell looked really good in his first game as a head coach, getting the win. And if the Vikings are able to build on this, watch out. I said that they were probably going to be a playoff team heading into this season, and they definitely looked it on Sunday, much to my chagrin. Number 3, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in a really boring game, but winning 19-3 on Sunday Night Football. A pretty pedestrian game for Tom Brady. Wasn't really anything special here. Their O-line, there's definitely some gaps there. Micah Parsons had a nice game for the Dallas Cowboys, but this was kind of the defensive show for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, constantly getting after Dak. He did not look good even before he got injured, really stopping the run, even though Zeke was able to break off a couple. The defense still looked really good. And on top of that, focusing back on the offensive side of the ball, Julio Jones, they got him involved early, looked good. Godwin, before he left with an injury, he looked solid. But Leonard Fournette, man, what a freaking stud he is. 127 yards, and this was just some old school football. Brady didn't have to do anything special. He could do a bunch of checkdowns because it was like, hey, let me hand off the ball. Oh, the run game continues to work. We have a smothering defense. That's enough to get the win. Obviously, Cooper Rush came in later for the Cowboys for the injured Dak Prescott, and while he was able to make some throws, the Buccaneers took care of business here. And the Buccaneers, they don't need these wins to be pretty because the most important thing is they gotta win, and we'll see how they do against the Saints next week. Number 2, you got the Kansas City Chiefs putting a wallop on the Cardinals, 44-21. Patrick Mahomes, arguably the best quarterback of the week. Over 360 yards, 5 touchdowns, was sacked 0 times, which is pretty darn good considering that O-line. I know that they made some additions last year, but it held up against a decent pass rush of the Cardinals on Sunday. Had 128 rushing yards total with Pacheco and also Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Both of them really contributed to the majority of those rushing yards. Kelsey, over 120 yards. Juju Smith-Schuster had some nice production, and MVS did as well. And they just looked like a very balanced offense. There were some questions after Tyreek Hill left. Hey, are they going to be the same team? And while they're kind of still missing that like real deep threat, they still showed that they can win football games against a Cardinals team that wasn't supposed to be this bad. But yeah, they came out of the gate strong after a very slow start last year. But the Chiefs, they're rolling. And finally, number 1, you got the Buffalo Bills. You could argue that you could put the Chiefs here, but I think just the quality of the opponent, they knocked off the reigning defending Super Bowl champs in the Rams, and they made them look like chumps. beating them 31-10. The defense kept getting after Matthew Stafford, forcing a ton of mistakes and a bunch of turnovers. Von Miller was an absolute stud and difference maker, showing that that big contract they gave him was definitely enough. And over on the offensive side of the ball, Josh Allen is that guy. Absolutely incredible night for Josh Allen, whether it was stiff arming, whether it was deep balls. Gabe Davis looked really good. Stephon Diggs kept getting highlighted against a very good secondary. They were able to keep Aaron Donald in check, and the Bills just came out looking like Super Bowl favorites, and I think they'll continue to be as the season rolls on. But that's my top 10 rankings. Number 1, you got the Bills. 2, you got the Chiefs. 3, the Buccaneers. 4, the Vikings. 5, the Ravens. 6, the Chargers. 7, the Eagles. 8, the Saints. 9, the Bengals. And 10, the Seahawks. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. Who would be in your top 10? Let me know. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or TomGrossiComedy, all social media you see down below. Check out podcasts on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course YouTube. And a big shout and thank you to all the patrons over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy and the YouTube members. But thank you so much for watching. I'm Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.
I've always liked the intro and outro for Tom Grossi's podcast. Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. I think their top 10s were similar, except he probably changed a couple things. I know I did not have Seattle in mind. I really did not. So I think that's gonna about do it. I'm probably about to end the stream. I got work in the morning. I actually have a pretty busy day. I doubt I'm gonna be able to catch Thursday night football because I really don't want to turn my Prime back on right now. But yeah, that's about it. See ya, and I should have a video going up soon. It will probably be my week 2 predictions. And yeah, that's about it.